Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today I'm happy to say we have a team game for you, a 3v3. I'm teaming up with Grim Reaper and Lowing against Ouroboros, Azov, and Player 1. So Player 1 is a Sergeant Major, probably the biggest threat there, and we will have three very diverse sets of enemies. We have a blue 4 player who will be fighting me over in Fetter. We have a French player who will be clashing with our own usual French player here, Lowing, between Dimitri and Anna. And Grim is headed over to handle a US player in Boris. Of course, we don't know this quite at the moment. We're not sure where each one of our opponents will be going, and I am leading a motorized force from the Baltic front over to Fetter for what will soon be a rather, well, let's just call it a soon-to-be late-game rally, I guess is a nice way of putting it. We do immediately cap Anna, and we're getting a slight +2 just for a minute before the blue 4 CV caps Dimitri, but there it is. And for the forces of Lowing here, I think he's playing Eastern Bloc, and he has a lot of fire support moving up, fair amount of infantry, maybe taking a bit too forward of a position here, but my own forces are going to have the encounter with the enemy first, and it's not going to be a pleasant one, as I do immediately lose not one, not two, but soon to be 3 different transports before I'm able to disengage. One of those was an Eroko's Yegri that was intended to go for the side building, or sorry, it was a CC, intended to go for the side building. I don't quite know why it was going that far out, probably a misclick on my part, but look at all of this. Merkava 2Bs, Leopard Verkennings, Cheetah Prandals, a whole bunch of other sort of mish-mashed nonsense from the regular blue 4 player, but very effective mismatch nonsense nonetheless. Now we do get a spike team up and running, and that will be some temporary reprieve, but because this is a big old 3v3, well, you know what, let's watch the Avia 28 come in just for kicks. So not the most effective bombing run ever. The Merkava 2Bs are stunned, worried. There's that bomb dropping all the way down. I love to see that whole canister shell hit. And we do take out one of the Merkavas with a spike team before the bomb hits. Not a great effect there, but yeah, we did what we could. Now, in the meantime, the enemy US player is marshalling quite a lot of forces here in M113A3s, trying to go up to the forward town, where Grim has gotten a bit of a toehold, but it's just Prozminski, Specjalzi Jednostki, and a single Oat 64C, so it is a forward position, but it's not exactly a stronghold. Now, Fetter has been capped. We have also capped Boris, so right now there's 0-0 ticking on the war score for the conquest game. Prozminski getting a couple shots in, but there's so much fire support here and so many infantry that it is going to be a really rough thing for them to do. In the meantime, there has been some contact in the center, the French player with his Legion taking out some of the infantry fighting vehicles of Lowing, and these Motostrelki should be moving up to engage before the vehicles. Legion 90 will of course chew through anything like that and deny my ally precious guns. So I am smoking up this section of woods, trying to forestall an enemy advance and allow my own men to retreat out of the line of sight of some supporting elements, STRF 9040s, as well as a couple of light tanks. Now there is a Gazelle Canon coming over, an AH-1J as well. Very effective force. In fact, I love AH-1Js when I play as Blue Dragons. They're amazing, but it is going to be quite a challenge. In the meantime, the US player has managed to push Grim largely out of this town, but excellent fire support coming in from an MI-17, and there is a reserve position as well as a bomber coming in, so let's see what effect this has. 14 riflemen, 20 riflemen, down to 13 before the bombs hit, down to 3 afterward, and it is napalm, so that effect will stick around. Be a little bit of an area denial. Now, I don't love napalm, but hey, if it works, I have no complaints. So I have a BMP-2 fighting against commandos, well, should be. I think he was just shooting and then he lost line of sight there as the commandos team was killed by my Yegri, but my Yegri are crumbling, more Yegri crumbling to a Kurnos bombing run, which hopefully we will get some revenge on as an L-19 from Grim is able to take down that plane, but I am looking very sparse here. I have a Pave, I have an Ito. The Pave is just here to hold that eastern section. My Spike team has been resupplied and is acting as a bit of a deterrent, but commandos are on their way to the town, and if I lose these town blocks, that could be absolutely devastating. BMP-2 fighting, and we do manage to take down that single group of Blue 4 infantry, but Commandos Para are very quickly trying to plug that gap. Another Avia bomber coming in. These guys have 15 strength. That makes them excellent for fire support missions into enemy territory, as yes, we took about 7-8 points of damage. We still had about half of our strength left. A bit of a shallow bombing run, not that great effect over there. In the meantime, Grim is being pushed out of these woods by Azov, who is using Rifleman 90, as well as some support there, and we have lost the forward section of Boris, which could be a problem. Bombing runs coming in, and let's see if they get those chasseurs. No, not quite. A little bit of a swing and a miss, but the Nostrelki should be able to chew through them, and the bomber got out just in time. I also have a MiG-21B1S coming in and just taking out some of the helicopter units on the side. I intended to go into the H-1J, but I lost vision, and I am aware that there's something, probably SAS, over here with anti-air weapons. And it looks like my western flank is being completely pushed through, and I may not be able to hold onto my toehold in this town either. So, very tough game for me. My Kartanyikri were not unloaded in time for the forward commandos, so they lost a lot of men when they shouldn't have, and I had to retreat out of that wood section as well, when ordinarily Kartanyikri would have won that fight pretty decently. Chasseur is still being chewed through, but fire support coming in is pounding the Motostrelki, and it looks like Lowing is not necessarily responding to that deadly howitzer bombardment. In the meantime, Yekri are engaging commandos, but tripled up, I guess, against Commandos 90 on both sides, and Yekri will struggle with just their regular training. Although usually pretty cost-effective, but, I mean, hey, everyone has some trouble sometimes. And my BMPs were engaging, but I lost one. Well, I lost a musty. BMP2 is able to bring that autocannon online until the commandos take him out. So, things are looking pretty dire for us at the moment. I'm trading really horribly, and my own units left on the battlefield are really scant. I have a little bit of base defense. I have a token set of units up here that's getting just crushed through by the Blue 4 player. Blue 4 generic anyway. But Grim has managed to get a solid toehold on the eastern side. Azov is not pushing him, so he is maintaining his position there and bringing up a couple units to help me out as well. So many thanks, Grim. As usual, when I get in a little bit over my head, he is quite good at, well, bailing me out. So in the meantime, my T-72 is stunned by just some mortar strikes, it looks like, and I'm moving to the side. That unit being panicked is not a good thing if you got into any sort of tank engagement, but I just brought him along for that cheap big gun. Meanwhile, a couple of Hawk bombers coming in, trying to lighten the infantry presence in that town. Not able to achieve very much, but the commandos are getting chewed through. Only 2 left on that rear, well, on that forward group, I guess, from their perspective. And the other commandos engaging against Erebus Yekri, who are able to use that Yadamanik to very good effect. Meanwhile, my Pave was able to deny a little bit of forward motion from the STRFs, and everything looks like it's, well, not as horrible as it could be. In the meantime, Lowing is holding in the center, bringing up more infantry and more infantry as the game goes on. At T-55 Pion also should be in a pretty good duel here, so the Pion and the Verkenning, very similar sort of roles. Tanks, 75 points for my Pion, 65 for the Verkenning. He has 15 AP, and I have 17, 10 frontal armor against his 8. So in theory, well, I guess accuracy is a little bit better accuracy, but in theory, my Pion should be able to do well here. So the Leopard takes in what could be a very deadly shot, but fortunately for my Pion, does swing and miss right there, and my Iroquois are trying to get Iglas online against the AH-1J. We do take down the Verkenning. Grim is handling the SAS that were infiltrating over on the western side, and my Iroquois are finally able to shoot at the AH-1J, but it's taken out instead by, it looks like, MiG-21B1S, which unfortunately is taking counter fire from probably a Cheetah Prendle in those woods. Evac ordered on the first one, but the other one was stunned and is going to be a little bit late evacing if he can at all. Evac ordered, but he flew back over the enemy position because of the stun. Now we do have bombs coming in from either Lowing or Grim, but I think they're a little bit behind the enemy position. Maybe there could have been something else there, but it certainly was a bit of an interesting choice, and the bomber does go down as well. So Lowing's marking some attack positions. I am finally, well, Grim is finally able to solve our problem on the western flank, and I am bringing in more infantry and musties as well as some mortars, getting some things going there. So hopefully we should be able to recover without too much more trouble here as the game does move into a bit of a middle stage. Another bomber lost by Lowing, and that has been attrition to beggar belief, which I will show in the kills and deaths ratio after the game is over. So if that's what you want to see, it is here. Feel free to go ahead and take a look. But that's the second bomber, and the answer here should have been artillery, not bombers. Especially not with that success rate at killing the incoming bombers. But now we do have enemy smoke coming in, trying to block off line of sight and allow an invasion into the town here. So good use of smoke from the Blue 4 player, who is, of course, the Sergeant Major player 1. I think I've played against him once before and had similar mixed success / definite failure. But now we do have a little bit of motion over here on the eastern side as Azov with that US deck is trying to move forward. BMPs and a Vihor, however, anchoring that formation are going to be able to do a good job stunning and killing lots of riflemen, lots of other supporting elements, and excellent micro there as well, dodging those howitzer shots and really just getting very effective fire support online. Vidras and Drubs firing at an M1 Abrams, and just, man, there are things I could learn from this. were I able to do so. So I will certainly attempt to. But I've never really seen such an effective forward defense of Boris. It is, however, counter-capped, and that will be a problem as we do start to lose +1 to our opponents here. Iroquois is finally going to be outstretched, fighting against commandos, even with proletary support. They are struggling quite a bit. Kartanyekri advancing across open ground because of the blue 4 push. I had intended to get to this place, I guess, before their incoming push, but the Kartanyekri are a little bit exposed. And pretty soon we should see, yep, the Iroquois are rotated out, and now I'm trying to get the Kartanyekri into that town to allow them to do their jobs. Incoming bombs do take out a couple things, and unfortunately not a lot of kills for us. Block 15 taking out yet another one of Lowen's bombers, but an Ito 90 is able to get some fire online. Looks like maybe one last shot, actually a kill, coming in from the flat comm over in Lowen's side. Kartanyekri able to more than chew through these commandos, and I just have to be aware of incoming fire support that could make this into a bad situation. In the meantime, I think the blue 4 player had expected this push to work, and so Cheetah Prandals are moving up a little bit overexposed there, and they will begin to take some fire from, of all things, an Oat M60PB, which gets optical failure, very near kill there, but not quite enough, and will he be able to shoot again? Oh, it doesn't look like it. That Cheetah Prandal is actually routing, but back into the woods, and yes, the Oat does get a kill on a Cheetah Prandal, so you know, most valuable 10-point infantry fighting vehicle ever, and a couple of helicopters are taken down and more SAS spotted. So Grim is definitely the reason that I'm able to hold this position here on the left, so it's all down to the admirable play over on the eastern side, and now there is a push coming in from the French player, taking out Grenantalmont, and, well, using smoke relatively effectively to get fire support against my allies Motschützen and FJB in that forward position. Finally, we do have some artillery support of our own. Looks like a couple of Vidra 2 mortars coming in, direct fire on enemy positions, and they will, however, move forward past it, so unfortunately not that effective. And we do have more going on the right-hand side. It looks like the US player has finally circumvented that screening action on the right that Grim was able to do. In the woods, it looks like the Vidra was, well, no, not the Vidra, the Vihor was killed by something while we were looking away, so my apologies for that. Probably this longbow, however, but it's a little too close for comfort, and that Strop 2 is able to take him down with a single missile, although, oddly enough, not before the longbow gets revenge, so a bit of a trade there, but certainly one that favors Grim, at least in points value. We do have more Grenantalmont getting into these towns, and they have frag rounds. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that anything close to correct, but I'm doing my best. And those frag rounds are actually able to get rid of Commando's Para a lot quicker than I had expected them to. I mean, everything has a time and a place, I suppose. A10 Thunderbolt coming in, and my Pave's luck will finally be running out as he is spotted and I don't have smoke online. So that is a kill there, but Ito 90 actually also killed by the Thunderbolt. Those things are just brutal. More in this game than in real life, but that's another story. However, he won't be able to escape, and a couple of MiGs from me and Lowing are able to take him down decently well. In the meantime, I have Iroquois Yekri, and they are shooting at a Gazelle Canon, able to take that helicopter down. We're finally able to get some pressure in the woods on the western side of Feder, because I say western woods in most of my videos. It cracks me up a little bit to keep having a reason to say it, but, such is life. And smoke coming in is going to be able to create a bit of a wall here, allowing Grim to push his forces up. I think he's trying to go for the woods, I guess, between Boris and Anna, but also probably panic the French player a little bit with the idea of being attacked from multiple sides. Rafal coming in, and yet another of Lowen's bombers is dead, but Ouroboros here has also, the French player, has also, with the support of Player 1, been able to push all the way up into these woods here, which does threaten my Spike team. Still alive after all this time is pretty nice. Hawk bombers coming in, and I mean, the woods here are not exactly inconspicuous positions, so even if they're not sighted, that is a very easily identifiable bombing target. Rafal coming in does take a chunk off of my Avia, but we are able to get out, and there's the bomb coming down. Very nice contact there, so I can't imagine the chasseurs are still alive. That is a little bit of an over-response, but sometimes it calls for it. And mortar support from Prom S's are supporting this, but Grim's push has kind of been taken out. It looks like the infantry fighting vehicles killed by some sort of bomber. It looks like 2 within the explosive radius. Probably also very much weakened the Mechanizovna Pez, and riflemen with an M1 Abrams should be able to fend that off. So our first counteroffensive on that side is pushed back. Raskazim Korima and Iroquois Yekri are being moved over along with some BMP-2s to secure this front. We have some missiles coming in, and the BMP-2s are spotted, which is a definite problem. Probably some sort of recon tank or recon infantry in a forward position. ATGM's coming in, and I should have retreated these guys. There was just a little bit too much going on over on the western side as I'm finally pushing forward with KTs and Iroquois. KTs, of course, very brutal autocannons, and we do manage to catch player 1 by surprise. Finally, for the first time in the flipping game here, we get a little bit of a good engagement, also being able to shoot at that AH-1J. 55-point helicopter does go down to a couple of measly transports. Iroquois will also provide some sort of area denial, but player 1 is trying to do his best to push forward as well here to deny the advance on the side by making my resupply route untenable. So there is an engagement going on. Kartanyekri trying to get up in there, but Merkava 2As with those frag launchers just absolutely brutal, mincing my Kartanyekri before they're even able to get out of the woods is a problem, and they're only alive because my spike teams are out of resupply as a consequence of losing this position between the two zones. So, I mean, we're seeing the consequences of it now, and they are kind of brutal. In the meantime, my KTs go down, Iroquois Yekari fighting with SMFV 510 warriors. We do manage to take those guys down, but I think they had infantry inside. Not quite sure if it was that group. Yes, Fusiliers pop out, damaged but not defeated. And my Kartanyekri have just been completely negated by some well-positioned Merkava 2As. Now, should I have been able to kill these guys if I had properly set up defense? Yes. Was I able to? No. And I've lost 2 groups of Kartanyekri, that's 50 points worth of infantry right there, for no reason at all, basically. And the Iroquois will struggle against that many Fusiliers, but it looks like I think we did have some fire support coming in, but no, actually the Yatomatic just showing those Fusiliers who's boss. Of course, they do just have regular training versus elite, so that will make a difference as well. And we do have a lot going on the eastern side now, as Grim is doing another push, this time over on the eastern section of Boris, so BVP's opening up, actually using all of their ammunition, comvats, and other supporting units retreating, M84A providing direct fire support. And as you guys may have noticed, this game is approaching its end, despite the successful Blue 4 capture of this forward town, and my failure to really grind through in return. So I was unable to trade for that other section, and now we have well and truly been pushed out from Feder pretty much completely. My spike team is still here, but funnily enough, its resupply is getting killed by ATGMs, which, I mean, that was really just kind of annoying. I moved him to try and hide him behind the buildings. It won't save him from direct fire support, but it might be able to do something. Iroquois is opening up on AH-1Js, able to, nope, swing and a miss on the first one. Let's see what they can do with their very last Igla. Of course, it does have 4 HE power, so not enough to kill one of the AH-1Js, even should it make contact, which we do, so that was nice. But, you know, it's a little bit tough going. Fobs, however, were spotted by Grimm's MI-17. Not a lot of success shooting anything there, but, I mean, it is kind of funny. And there is another push coming in from the US player on the eastern side that Grimm will have to fend off. M84As, however, very competent at doing that, and a Hera 2 opening up with a Browning against a couple of Cobras. These guys are excellent against infantry, but oddly enough, cannot fight even the weakest of helicopters. So, bit of a mixed bag there for the Blue 4 player. M1A2 Abrams also spotted, so will be vulnerable. And for some odd reason, the Blue 4 player surrendered. And I didn't quite get this. Maybe it's because this push was being shot at by an M84A, and it was just one of those, well, we can't get it now either. But I really am not quite sure. So there were still a lot of tools left here. Of course, the Blue 4 team is up 105 points to 28. We are, however, launching a counterattack, and Yekri, Kartanyekri, and Raniko Yekri are pushing forward. It's more than enough to resecure this town, I think. I had quite a few points floating during some of this as I was trying to come to grips with what was going on over on this side. And, I mean, yeah, we're taking some fire supports from some further back positions, but the Blue 4 forces were very much worn out at that point in time. And with the surrender of Azov, player 1 also surrenders as that town is pushed through, and that leaves just Ouroboros, the private French player, with some good success in Dimitri fighting, and that won't be for very long. And this is one I have to say, we didn't really win it on merit so much as we did in just the will to fight. So sometimes that's worth something. I mean, if we look at the kills losses, 43-35 to 40-30 is a very tight game. Effectively, we had no advantage on points. Just, I mean, 300 is a couple high-end tanks or a plane or something in reserve. As for myself, I did 1303 for kills, 1510 for losses, losing engagement there against player 1 to, I mean, it's kind of to be expected given the relative rank and experience, but still, I was a little bit chagrined by that. Grim, of course, did very well, 1983 against 1120, fighting against Azov over on the eastern side, and Lowing with 743 to 1705 got absolutely smashed by Ouroboros in the center. So, In terms of units that did well, KTs did very well against Rover Wombats. Spike team got both Merkavas, a Vab, a Zelda, SCRF. Without this Spike team, we would have lost that front. That much is certain. The Pave also did okay, but didn't pay for himself. Iroquois did okay, but didn't pay for themselves. Now, the T-55M Pion did do very well. The Leopard for Kenning almost makes up his value alone, let alone the Commandos, and the transports that they were in, so some good work there. And finally, those Iroquois at the end were worthwhile as well. That's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.